As Mayor Live, tonight is episode 229. Hard to believe we're almost a full year into this endeavor, we'll call it. Of course, America's Mayor here tonight live. We're in Bedminster, New Jersey. And ladies and gentlemen, I'll be honest, I'm not much of a golfer, so I couldn't necessarily speak to the ins and outs of the course. But what I can say, and I've talked to others, Bedminster happens to be one of the, if not the best place, the best course, resort, location in the Northeast. It does not get better than this. And of course, the staff here, I want to personally thank them. Of course, they're always so good to the mayor. But really, whether you're the mayor, America's mayor, or Ted Goodman, they bend over backwards. They make sure that you have everything you need and you're well taken care of. So a big shout out to the folks here at Bedminster. And wow, what an interesting week. We're still in the, I guess we're hitting the back end of the week here, but we have a lot to cover. So let's get right into it. I apologize, right? Each and every night you come on here and you expect to see America's mayor. You're stuck with me for now, but as you know, being the fastest hour on the internet, you never know what surprises we could have in store. So, of course, the title of tonight's episode, we're really going to we're going to highlight how others have exposed the permanent Washington political class. Of course, President Trump and his victory in 2016, it really sent a message not just to the Democrat Party, but also the Republican Party in Washington, that millions and millions of Americans were sick and tired of the status quo. They were sick and tired of Democrats blaming Republicans, Republicans blaming Democrats. Meanwhile, the jobs kept leaving, right? These jobs kept leaving states like Michigan, Pennsylvania, Ohio, the places that built this country. America's great auto industry, of course, in Michigan. Think of Pennsylvania, think of Ohio. These were the great manufacturing centers of the world. And what's happened for the past, really, you could say over 50 years, right? I look at the early 60s, but you can really map it out and see how this has played out. And today, how both the Democrat Party and Republican Party at the national level has sold out the working man. They sold out the working man and the working woman decades ago. And President Trump has understood this. That's why President Trump has been speaking about China and the trade imbalance and all the variety of issues we have with China. President Trump has been talking about this since he was a young businessman. The trade imbalance, the issues like the Trans-Pacific Partnership, right? TPP. Looking back at NAFTA. Growing up, I'm 32 now, but growing up in school, we were taught NAFTA. NAFTA was just what was going to be done. It was inevitable, right? And really before Trump, TPP, that was considered inevitable, right? How we were taught about these things in school, how they refer to it as free trade. Okay, well, I prefer President Trump and free and fair trade, right? So free trade, going back to the 90s, a lot of these issues have been perpetuated not just by the Democrat Party, right, but Republicans in Washington. And President Trump came along down that beautiful golden escalator in June of 2015. And from the moment he came down that escalator, he made it very clear he was going to be a champion of the working man and the working woman in this country. And so let's not fool ourselves, right? This is the 45th president of the United States. He spent 4 years in that big, beautiful White House, but he remains the anti-establishment candidate. He remains the biggest threat to the permanent Washington political class, maybe in this country's history, if we really think about it, right? He remains the biggest threat. That's why you've seen, 4 indictments now. That's why the president, ever since announcing in 2015, has been called everything in the book, right? Think about what they've gone through. They called him a racist, right? They called him a misogynist. He was a xenophobe. Some of these words, I'll be honest, I hadn't heard of before President Trump. He was, he was an anti-Semite. You name it, they put him through it. Anti-LGBTQ, anti-American, right? They said he was spying for I don't know how many different countries. I can't even keep track. But that's what they do. That. By the way, that's just a classic playbook. Whether it's communism, all these authoritarian governments, and look, it's what they do. They cannot attack President Trump on policy, right? President Trump and his policies, not only are they common sense, they put America first. Not America alone, right? But they put America first. President Trump, at least since Reagan, really he's the latest president. You could name a couple others. I don't want to shortchange anyone here. But you could argue President Trump, for the first time in many years, right? He wasn't afraid to say, "Make America great again," right? He didn't back down from speaking the way, by the way, most countries and their citizens speak about themselves, right? It's quite something how in America at some point, and we're going to bring in our colleagues here, the great Justine Murray's here with us tonight, and of course, Rob Kaufman. And again, other special guests. We'll bring them in here soon. But it's interesting, right? At some point in this country, it became unpopular, for example, to speak about the greatness of our past. It became unpopular to really wave the flag among certain crowds. Of course, I'm sure the audience here tonight, we've never shied away from that. But stick with me here. As a whole, right, in our country, all of a sudden you started hearing things like, wait a minute, whoa. Our history, since 1776, we haven't been perfect. And there's a number of individuals in this country, and by the way, it's doing such great harm, especially to our children and the next generation. But there's an effort in this country to demonize the values that built this country. There is an effort in America to censor and stifle those of us who aren't afraid to speak about the greatness of this country, right? What did Ronald Reagan refer to us, President Reagan? What did President Reagan refer to us as? The shining city on the hill, right? Again, nobody's perfect. No country's perfect. However, we're a country that constantly, through thick and thin, strive for greatness, right? We strive to be that more perfect union. And so we don't hide from our past. And we certainly are not going to be censored. We're not going to rewrite our history. The scary part is, and look, we're not even, if you do some reading, we have a very smart audience. So I don't want to take that away from you. But am I right would you guys agree with me when I say parts of our history, the history on this earth, have been completely manipulated, right? Because the victors write the history. And unfortunately, the good guys don't always win. And so America's really at a crossroads. And what we've seen these last few years with these indictments against President Trump, and we haven't even gotten to America's mayor yet, which is going to be the biggest focus of tonight's show. What we see here is part of a larger effort. It's part of a larger effort to really to control, right? It's an effort to control, to stifle opposition, and to keep us in line, right? What I'm referring to, of course, is the permanent Washington political class. A lot of us, we like to refer, the deep state, that's part of it. The uniparty, right? You can argue, look, we know where Democrats stand. That's the thing. At least we know where Democrats stand a lot of the time. Unfortunately, some people who portray themselves as Republicans, conservatives, really, they do more damage to the cause than the Democrats, right? The Democrats, you kind of know where they stand, kind of, right? It's definitely not our father's Democrat Party. So, but at least they're more open about it, where you have some people who are lying to their constituents. They're pulling the wool over the eyes of the American people by portraying themselves as conservative, America first, Republican. But when push comes to shove, they don't have the backbone to stand up for what's right. And ladies and gentlemen, it's not about President Trump, the person, right? It's about making it very clear that we live in a country where the voters decide, the people decide their elected leaders. We don't live in a country where the people in power criminalize their biggest political opponents, right? That's what we're doing in America right now. And that's what's happening to President Trump, obviously, right? I know I don't necessarily have to say that to the audience here tonight, but it's important that we continue to highlight this fact, right? And make it very clear that we're not going to let them get away with this. And so, again, this isn't just about President Trump, right? It's about the protecting our very way of life. It's about protecting the values that built this country. It's about protecting democracy, ensuring that we, the people, still have a say, right? And we have to support the individual who, certainly in modern times, but you could really argue that in the history of this country, very few people, very few individuals have been willing to sacrifice so much and stand up for what's right at great personal and professional sacrifice, right? Very few individuals have done more for this country than, of course, President Donald Trump, but also Mayor Rudy Giuliani. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I was in 5th grade on September the 11th, 2001. What is it now? It's the 7th of September. So we're just 4 days away, right? I was in 5th grade. So I don't think I had a complete understanding, right, of the gravity of the moment. But I certainly saw the reaction of my father, right, and how I knew something was happening. I was in 5th grade. We saw the TVs on, and I was in a rural town in Michigan, so we weren't sent home or anything. But the day was different, and I just knew that night, watching the TV, seeing my dad's response, that something was permanently going to be different in this country. And there were 2 men that I remember. I remember their reaction that day. My father and Mayor Rudy Giuliani, right? Those of us that look, it's hard for me to talk about this, right? It's tough because of how we see some people treat America's mayor today. And I'm referring specifically to, let's start with the members of the media that were there on September 11th, right? We're talking the New York press corps, but others, right, in the media 22 years ago. So some of those same members of the media, they saw Mayor Giuliani that day. They saw how he took charge immediately. He made his way towards those burning buildings. I would have been running away, right? Most of us would have been. The mayor went towards that burning building. He went down there. He wanted to be there. He wanted to show that the leadership in the city was intact, and that he was going to do everything he could to be there for the people that entrusted him as mayor of the greatest city in the world. And I hear this from countless individuals, right? The leadership he showed that day. Him, Commissioner Carrick, many of you, we can, I'm not even going to, we're not showing any footage, or I don't want to show any of that. But those of you that were there, we know who the mayor is and the leadership he demonstrated that day, and the way he comforted people. Right, this is very real. This isn't just, okay, I'm the mayor, so I got to get up and give a speech. No. Mayor Giuliani went up there, and he was there all night giving updates. He himself had suffered great losses that day. Great losses. And the thing is, he was constantly getting new information about the deceased. And he didn't know. He was such a mass casualty event, you just don't know, right? When you're mayor of New York City, you know thousands and thousands and thousands of people. So just imagine sitting there, or not sitting, he's working, but in the midst of doing all this, he's getting an update. Oh, so-and-so died. So-and-so was on the plane. So-and-so was in the building. These are people that the mayor knew, and he didn't know who could be named next. But he kept the focus on others. I don't know if he wants me saying this, but I can't tell you the number of FDNY and NYPD funerals he attended. How many families of those we lost that day that he comforted, and what a difference that made to millions of Americans, families, parents who were trying to comfort their children. Didn't know, a lot of folks didn't know how to react, didn't know what to do. What could you say to your kid? Mayor Giuliani going up there, keeping everybody informed, doing these press conferences. That brought great comfort to millions and millions of Americans. That meant so much to these people, and they tell me, I hear these stories time and time again. And then 22 years later, some of these folks that were there that day that have a complete, as complete an understanding of how the mayor responded today as anyone. For some of these individuals, and I say some, I'm not painting a broad brush on everyone here. The way some of these individuals treat the mayor is abhorrent and shameful. And they should be ashamed of themselves. And I don't care why they're doing it. I don't care if it's for the money, right? I don't care if it's because your editor tells you to. Or, it's newsworthy, Ted, we got to talk about it. There's zero excuse for it. There's zero excuse for the way some in the media cover Mayor Giuliani. There's zero excuse. A lot of times we'll respond to almost, I try to respond to everything. I try to respond to everything. And, there's a lot of ways, and I keep prefacing it with this fact. Some in the media, I have great relationship with so many members of the media, and some might surprise you, right? So I'm not painting a complete and broad brush. But here are some of their tactics, right? The media, when they really don't want to give a fair view of a story, they'll reach out. Hey, Ted, we're writing about this. Would the mayor like to respond? Okay, so I want to make sure I let the mayor know. We get something together. We send them a response, right? One, they'll cut it down. If I give them four sentences, they'll put two in. They'll pick the two that are the least operative of the four. They'll put those sentences in, and then they'll put my response in the last paragraph, 17 paragraphs down in the story. So yes, they included our response, but it's at the very end of the story, at the point that, let's just say not everybody gets through the entire story. So that's one way. Another way is they'll reach out to a number that they know is either old or they're not sure, or an email address. The mayor's worked with a lot of people, so they'll reach out to someone that was with the mayor 10 years ago, and so then they'll say, "Oh no, we reached out, we didn't hear back," right? And they'll put that in their writing. The mayor, so and so, we reached out to the mayor for comment, and he did not respond by press time, right? Well, they'll tell us, "Hey, we want a response. Here's a complex question to something we're about to drop on Mayor Giuliani, Ted. You got 1 hour to respond," right? Something like that. So there's tactics, there's ways where they, and again, some, not all, how some people who like to smear and tell lies about America's mayor, there's tactics and ways that they're able to manipulate the story while also kind of maintaining this mirage of journalistic integrity. So again, I'll say it one more time. That's for some of you out there in the media, not all. So again, we want to thank you for joining us. I'm sorry you're stuck with me, not America's mayor. At this time, I'm going to do our first of many plugs for the Rudy Giuliani Freedom Fund. And we have the information here on the screen. For those of you on Getter, I will share this with you here. The Rudy Giuliani Freedom Fund. You can send a check, any amount. Any amount, any and every amount matters, right? We're up against it. let's be honest. Today's Democrat Party, their allies in the legacy media, their allies in big tech, Wall Street, academia. Look what they did in 2020, right? They are not going anywhere, and they're not letting up, right? They're not letting up on President Trump, and they're certainly not letting up on the mayor. So the Rudy Giuliani Freedom Fund, that's P.O. Box 309, at 3300 South Dixie Highway, West Palm Beach, Florida, 33405. And of course, our audience here knows the mayor has a place down there. So please consider supporting the Rudy Giuliani Freedom Fund. Everything, 100% of what you donate is going to go towards the legal efforts to defend America's greatest mayor. This is a man who took down the mafia. He locked up the biggest crooks on Wall Street. He cleaned up the streets of New York City, not just, as mayor, but again, also as a prosecutor, right? He brought crime down as mayor more than maybe any mayor of any major city in almost any time period. Of course, public corruption. He put congressmen in prison, borough presidents in New York City. He dealt with public corruption, right? And that's just a sliver of what this man's contributed to this country as a federal, as the most consequential federal prosecutor of our time, and maybe of any time in American history. He's by far impacted the lives in a positive way of more Americans than any mayor in this nation's history. And he comforted not just America, but the entire world following September the 11th, 2001. And of course, he continues. Look, I'm speaking to the choir right here. He continues this fight day in and day out to save the country, to do what's right, to speak the truth, and to expose the crooks, right? Day in and day out on his 3 p.m. Eastern WABC top-rated radio show. On his weekend show with the great Dr. Maria, that's Sunday mornings, 10 a.m. on WABC, and every night on America's Mayor Live. For the past year, one of many years we plan to be doing this, of course, day in and day out. And he doesn't back down, right? He's not being quiet. He's not going to be censored, right? He's not going to be told, oh, we can't talk about this. Don't talk about that. He stays true to who he is. The same man who was right about the Democrat-Russian collusion hoax, right? The same man that we're now seeing is right about Joe Biden's foreign corruption. And of course, the same man who's been right about Hunter Biden's laptop hard drive for a number of years now. Yes, I work with the mayor. You guys know I'm a little biased, but I can't stress this point enough. If not for Mayor Giuliani, Hunter Biden's laptop hard drive would never have gotten out. It wouldn't be here. You wouldn't know about it. We wouldn't know about Hunter Biden, right? So I can't stress enough. And think of what they've done to look, I say what they've attempted to do to this man. We all know Mayor Giuliani is the consummate happy warrior. But think about what they've done to this man, attempted to do this man, the tactics they've used since he's done that. They raided his home. They took all of his electronics except for Hunter Biden's hard drive. They are attempting to disbar him in multiple areas. And I don't want to say much there. These are ongoing proceedings. But think about that. Think about it. The man, the only person, I don't want to say the only, but the man who led the charge after many people failed to take on the literal mafia and to take him down. And let's think for a moment, right? They paint the mayor now as this, I'm going to say it's disgusting, right? How they try to paint him. Do you guys know how the mafia operated? They had dirt on everyone, right? There's a reason the mafia wasn't taken and why they were so powerful, right? And the mayor's talking about it. They collected dirt on public officials. They collected dirt on the judges, on the prosecutors, law enforcement, you name it. They did what they could to get dirt. And this isn't to say everyone was compromised. However, Mayor Giuliani, that didn't scare him. You want to know why? Because that man was a saint. That man could not be compromised. Because that man followed the rule of law. That man did things right. He acted the right way time and time again. So the mafia, certain people couldn't go after the mafia. They would, okay, you want to come after us? Well, we got blackmail on you here. We got blackmail on you there. We know about this. We know about that. Guess who they had nothing on? Guess the individual they couldn't hold anything over? Mayor Rudy Giuliani. And by the way, it's funny, right? I read stories from the 80s and the 90s, right? I read about him, and one criticism of the mayor was he was too much of a saint, right? Too much of a goody two shoes. And some of these same individuals, times change. Now these are the same people trying to claim he's right? The Joe Biden on the debate stage, a Russian pawn, right? They call him and every other name in the book, and they've indicted him, and it's just disgusting. The same man who couldn't be corrupted by the mafia because they couldn't get any dirt on the guy, right? The same man that was elected mayor of New York City as a Republican. Bloomberg doesn't count as a Republican, right? So Giuliani is really the last Republican since, I guess, Lindsay. But even him, right? Lindsay, he I believe he switched parties. So it's wrong. So again, everything that you do to support this effort, the Rudy Giuliani Freedom Fund, that's P.O. Box 309 3300 South Dixie Highway, West Palm Beach, Florida 33405. Every dollar matters. Take some time if you want to do some, reach out to us. I believe you have my information. We can send you more. I want you to know that your money's going 100% towards the mayor, defending the mayor against these just absolutely wrong and miscarriages of justice, right? So please, we hope you'll support us, support the mayor. The information is up on the screen, and we'll continue to discuss that moving forward. At this time, we want to hear from one of our sponsors, and of course, with September the 11th coming up, I can't think of a more important message than the following from our friends at Tunnel to Towers.
Towers Foundation delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices America's greatest heroes have made for us. Heroes who risked their lives to keep our communities and our country safe. Heroes like United States Marine Corps Captain and pilot John Jeremy Sachs. Captain Sachs sustained fatal injuries when his military aircraft crashed during training, killing him and 5 other service members. He's remembered by loved ones as courageous, brilliant, and devoted to his career, family, and friends. John is survived by his wife, Amber, who gave birth to their second daughter 3 months after his death. Tunnel to Towers paid the mortgage on the family home for Amber and their 2 daughters. The foundation has helped over 1,000 military and first responder families navigate the worst of times by removing the burden of a mortgage payment. Our nation's heroes and their families need your help now more than ever. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. T2T.org. That's T, the number 2T.org. T2T.org. Please donate now.
We're back. So thanks for joining us. America's Mayor Live, episode 229, live from Bedminster, New Jersey. And we're going to have a couple guests here in just a few minutes. We want to bring on a few of our friends. You'll know them. And how about we take some calls tonight? I'd like to take some calls. So maybe we'll do it through my phone tonight. And we'll take some calls. So thank you all for joining us. As we said, It's a very, very critical time in our nation's history, and it's important that we all continue to stand up for what's right. We're multitasking here. We're You kind of stuck with us tonight, of course. I apologize. America's mayor is out here, as many of you know, at Bedminster, meeting with some great, great, great people. So, new polling: President Trump edges out Biden. Am I correct? Is that just you hearing that?
I'm hearing that same thing. He's taking the lead.
Yeah, yeah. And of course, something with polling, right? With President Trump, and there's a number of reasons we do this. We want to. I always add a few points, right? We always add a few points to President Trump. It's for a few reasons, right? I think conservatives tend to be a little bit less trusting when people call, right? And I just think they manipulate these things to hurt Trump until they manipulate them to look like Trump has better. In some cases, they will manipulate it to make it look like he's doing better to try and keep people home. It's a whole thing. However, President Trump in the polling is just, my goodness, right? He is off like a rocket ship. With each indictment, we saw a jump, another jump, another jump. And those of us that know the mayor and I have been following this program know we have had Vivek Ramaswamy on a number of times. Wow, what a breath of fresh air and someone to kind of watch, right? So we hope to have Vivek back on. Just a good man and someone we connected with early on. And not only is Vivek a great American, but he's got a top-notch team around him. Of course, with the primary, we have an interesting thing is happening, right? With the primary. Of course, it's always been hold on. So, of course, with this primary, President Trump going into it, a lot of us knew that he was going to command us, hold a commanding lead in this thing. And I was questioning why anybody else would get into it. But of course, certain forces within the Republican Party, look, we could talk for hours on why, right? But these people, they never liked Trump. At first, they didn't, they're not the brightest bulbs, right? So they didn't understand. At first, they never liked him, but they didn't think he could win, right? Again, they really exposed themselves in their actual true understanding of the American people and our and politics, really, right? The machinations of politics. These people they did not like Trump, but they didn't think he could win. So in a way, we did kind of catch him sleeping at the wheel, right, in 2016, which is why in 2020, they were not going to let, they were going to be caught with their pants down like they were in 16, right? So in 24, who are we kidding? They didn't just all of a sudden go away. Yeah. Trump's he's not going anywhere, so I guess, all right, Mr. Trump, we'll let you back in, right? Yeah, we know how popular you are, and we didn't like you, but the American people do. So, you know what? We're going to give up on all these things we're doing to you, and you know what? Here you go. You know what? Let's have a fair and square race in November 24, and should you win, you'll take the office. Oh my goodness, right? We know that's not what's going to happen. Please, if you're not there yet, I'm hopefully helping you get there. I'm not making any claims, right? Specific claims on what they're going to do, but we have to be on our toes. This is not going to be a standard cycle. They are going to, because look, with January 6th, I think they thought, okay, we're going to be able to push enough people away. We're going to make it unpalatable to support Trump in polite society, right? We're going to make it unpalatable for these folks to publicly support him. And we'll do that by turning those events on January 6th, 2021, we're going to turn it into a riot. Yeah, we'll make it a riot. Oh, wait, no, not just a riot. It's got to be an insurrection, right? Because then we got to use that word insurrection so we can apply the 14th Amendment and keep Trump off the ballot. Yeah, we'll do that. And we'll call them terrorists, right? And we'll lock up these real estate agents from Fort Worth, Texas, right? And we'll lock up these ladies that are concerned about the election, from Columbus, Ohio, right? We're just naming places here. That's what we'll do. We'll paint the whole day as this, we'll paint it as though democracy was, we were right there, Rob. We were going to lose democracy. Democracy was hanging in the balance, right? That's how they ended up covering that day. And it was all done in preparation for 24 to make it unpalatable. And look, we all probably have that one friend, and don't give up on that friend. I want to say that too. But we all have that one friend at least, right? Who's, oh, gee, Ted, love President Trump's policies, man. Love his policies. But man, I can't deal with the drama. And by the way, a lot of the people that say that, right? You really stick it to them on that and say, wait a second, right? Because that's just a line that we've been fed by the media, right? So remember that. But let's get back to this here. So we all have that friend, right? We have a friend who.
Where would you say the drama is being originated from?
Bingo. Exactly. Bingo, Rob. That's a good point. That's a good. Rob Kaufman is here with us. And of course, Justine, we're going to get you guys on camera here in a second. Rob makes a good point, right? The same people that are telling us, oh, go with so-and-so, great policies, just like Trump, but without the drama, right?
They incite the drama.
They create it.
And then they turn the drama on their subject.
Yes, that's right.
Basically.
It's high school. This is exactly
It is high school.
what
Right.
what high school girls do. They'll
Yeah.
say, "Oh, we'd be your friend, but so many of these other people said that, you're total this and that."
That's right.
And it's the same game. People really never grow up.
They never grow up. They're all suffering from a form of arrested development, I believe. I have a theory of it, and I think it's getting worse as the future draws near. This arrested development that I speak of is becoming a profound feature of society, unfortunately, enabled by a deteriorating education system, which makes it even more.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. And so they make this, they use January 6th to make it unpalatable to support Trump. They think it's going to work, right? Their big thing is they got to find somebody. They got to find somebody in the Republican Party, right, that can take on Trump because look, yeah, maybe their thought is, again, I think it's all flawed thinking. Their thought was we can pull just enough away. We can pressure just enough, right? Like that one friend who, gee, Ted, I like Trump, but it's tough. I go to go to Thanksgiving and my mom gets mad and my aunt won't talk to me anymore.
Right.
And my fifth grade teacher's assistant sister's husband called me a name on Facebook. It's awful, Ted. I just don't want to deal with it. And you know what? When I go and tell people I support Ron DeSantis, I don't get that same pushback, right? So I can support Ron DeSantis and go to Christmas dinner and, no one's going to think I'm a Nazi, right? By the way, that's also, for whatever reason, that's also not going to work, right? Because however, I don't know how he did it, but DeSantis, he kind of did something here where he's not as palatable as they tried to say he was, right? He's almost become less. It's a weird world. But to get back to my main point here is there was a concerted effort to make Trump unpalatable to support. And they did that by applying pressure to folks where shaming people basically and look, not everyone is like we are, right? Where we're here to save the world and all that, right? They want to go about their lives. And it's like, gee, well, I'm Republican, but if I support this guy instead of Trump, I keep my Republican card, but I'm not ostracized, by my group of friends at the squash.
If people
court.
worry too much.
Squash. Right?
People worry too much about what other people think of them.
That's right.
That's a big problem in society.
That's right. That is,
and that stems from childhood too, because children are very reluctant to behave in a way that has them singled out.
That's right.
In a group or in their classroom.
That's
They
right.
will comply with what everybody else is doing in the classroom just so that they don't become the weird one.
That's right.
People are afraid to be weird. You know what? I got advice for everybody out there listening. Try and be as weird as you possibly can. It's probably the best thing you can ever do for yourself.
That's some good advice, Rob. I like that. And we'll dig into that another time, but I like that.
Perhaps.
So I want to wrap up this story. We're going to go to our next commercial and we're going to come back with Justine and then we'll come back. Also, we'll get Rob on here. But I want to finish this, right? So that was the plan. They had to get a Republican. Maybe they knew Biden was going to have a rough first term. I don't know. Right. But look, okay. So they go with someone, let's try to pump somebody else up. And honestly, I don't know if they might be moving on to somebody else, right? I don't know that they have the guy. I think the first guy maybe hasn't been the guy they thought he would be, Florida's governor, right? I've always thought, look, and I don't want to give them any advice. I'm 100% in President Trump's camp. Those that know me know there's zero separation there. But I'm surprised that they didn't, before the debate, I was surprised they didn't coalesce around Christie. But the mayor had always told me, the mayor always was a little confused at what I saw in Christie. But he did it. He'll agree with me that he's a good retail politician. He really is. But on the debate stage, he kind of showed himself to be mean, nasty.
You know what? It seems to me that the retail politicians have reached the end of their life cycle because the voting public is, I think, as a result of the last 5 years of complete chaos in this country, it has forced people to become more educated about things. And one of the first things that they come to realize is that they've had it with these bastards. They've had it with these lying, two-faced retail politicians. A glorified Electrolux vacuum cleaner salesman is what a politician basically is, and they're tired of it. So they like a straight talk, like Donald Trump, like Rudy Giuliani. I was just a little old human driving around in my car and somehow stumbled onto 770 AM radio.
Yeah.
And when I heard the voice of Rudy Giuliani,
okay, save that because when
I got pulled right in.
But save that when you come on, being a New Yorker, right?
Yeah.
You're a New Yorker through and through from birth.
Correct.
And you're in New Jersey through and through from birth.
Correct.
So I want to have you both on here in just a second to share that. So before we take our next commercial, let's talk about the Rudy Giuliani Freedom Fund. Of course, we have the information up on the screen, the Rudy Giuliani Freedom Fund. P.O. Box 309, 3300 South Dixie Highway, West Palm Beach, Florida, 33405. That's right. That's where you can write the check to. If you can, please consider supporting the mayor. And here's another way, right? If you've already supported, if you've given what you can, your work's not done, right? I need you to reach out to a couple friends. Maybe a couple friends that don't watch the show. Maybe they're too busy. They got other things going on. Well, we want them to watch the show. So maybe get them to watch the show. But more importantly right now, maybe share with them information about the Rudy Giuliani Freedom Fund, right? I think this is important to not just people that support the mayor and have supported him, but anyone who believes in the rule of law. Anyone who believes in our way of life, anyone who believes in the American justice system, a system that has been tested time and time again, but has persevered, right? We're facing it now again. And so if you want to stand up for the justice system and a system that works for everyone and treats everyone the same, please consider sharing this information with a couple friends. Let's say 3 people in your life. Everyone here that's watching tonight. It might be a challenge because I want you to pick people that aren't watching the show already, right? That's how we expand this. And ask them to then find 3 people, right? Think of 3 people in your life. Don't start with how much you think they can give, right? Think of 3 people in your life that would care about something like this. Whether it's because they do support Mayor Giuliani, or because they simply think, hey, I'm someone that might be a Democrat, but they see like, whoa, we can't do this, right? Right? Oh, what they're doing to my enemy today, they'll do to me tomorrow. Something like, right? There's a saying about tyranny.
People may not be aware of that, but they should be.
Yes.
They should know that they're coming for them next.
Yes. So again, there's a number of reasons why you could share this with these individuals. So think of 3 people. Again, it could be someone that supports Mayor Giuliani, someone who used to live in New York or just respects what he did in the city, somebody who just is concerned with what's happening in our country. So 3 individuals, whether you got to write them down, think of them in your head, please think of 3 individuals that you can share this information with. 3 people in your life, right? Among your family, friends, work colleagues, neighbors, just your son's baseball team, right?
Post it on your Facebook page.
Yeah, share it, please. We got to get this out. If somebody is deserving of our support, right? It's America's mayor. This isn't someone who's just famous for being famous, right? This is a person who earned the respect we give him today. This is a person who's earned the platform that he has through hard work, through doing what's right, for having a positive impact on the lives of others, and for putting others ahead of himself, and for always, and I mean always, putting the country first. So please, the Rudy Giuliani Freedom Fund, P.O. Box 309, 3300 South Dixie Highway, West Palm Beach, Florida, 33405. We're going to hear from our friends at QUX, and then we'll come back with Justine.
The year is 2022. Cancel culture is the new normal. Online freedom as we know it has ended. Digital stockades are here. All activity is monitored, stored, and predictively analyzed by a technological cartel. We're being converted into a digital resource, a digital currency to be farmed for metadata and loaded into a computerized combine, blockchained to a social engineering operating system. However, it doesn't have to be this way. Be part of a new technological revolution. Right now, 1,000 test pilots have launched themselves into a new digital frontier, a private network outside of big tech control. New technology with state-of-the-art digital engagement and never-done-before security and privacy features that are now operational. With Qwix, digital engagement, entertainment, communication, and commercial exchange will never be the same. We are QUX. Qwix. Advanced pre-release sales are limited to 3,000. Order now by visiting Qwix.tv. Get yours now before they sell out. Be part of a brand new online experience that you control.
No.
And we're back. Thank you for joining us. And of course, we're here with friend of the show. I can say a good friend of the show at this point, the great Justine Murray. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me back, Ted.
Of course. So I'm sorry you're stuck with me tonight. I know you're usually on here with America's mayor. Tonight it's me. So here we are in Bedminster. You're from New Jersey, that's correct?
Yep.
And so, talk about Bedminster. I know it's got quite a great reputation here in New Jersey, right?
It's absolutely gorgeous here. I actually went to high school. I went to grade school, starting pre-K, all through 12th grade in Bernardsville, New Jersey, not too far from Bedminster. And I had my bat mitzvah in Bedminster, not at the club, but nearby. And it's honestly the most beautiful place in New Jersey, in my opinion, next to Cape May, which is at the very southern tip.
Mm-hmm.
But you have beautiful horses and
Mm-hmm.
farms. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, when you think of New Jersey,
Yeah.
you think of the Parkway, you think of Newark Airport, you think
Yeah.
of the Jersey Shore, but you don't think of really what makes New Jersey great. And that's Bedminster. And it's just so great.
That, it's funny you say that. I think a lot of people, maybe myself included, I grew up in Michigan. So growing up, you think of New Jersey. I grew up watching The Sopranos. So the opening of Sopranos, right? And by the way, there is that every time I'm driving in Secaucus and south of there, Rob, I'm thinking of that. I got that theme song playing, right?
Absolutely.
The Sopranos.
You come out of the Lincoln Tunnel.
Yeah. And so growing up, with Jersey, it was that the New Jersey Devils, a big hockey guy. So I thought of the New Jersey Devils and Jersey Shore. Jersey Shore and Snooki. Do you know about Snooki and JWoww? Mike the Situation. Wow, we're bringing it back. I just named three of the main, not characters, three of the main, I don't know what you want to call it. Yeah, three of our.
What do they call them?
reality TV stars.
reality TV.
Reality TV stars.
The Jersey Squad. But the
Yeah.
thing is, they're not even from New Jersey. They're from California. They're from New York.
They weren't from New Jersey?
A lot of them aren't from New Jersey, I don't believe. Some of them might be,
Yeah.
but they come here and they give us a bad reputation and we get all the flack. You know why? Because New Jersey is outspoken. I honestly, and I'm biased, but New Jersey is my favorite state in this country.
Yeah.
And I don't care that there's left-wing tyrants in charge of this state. If you go into deep New Jersey, if you're here in Bedminster, if you go up to Sussex County, there are
They're
a lot of
conservative.
yeah, they're conservative. There's
Yep.
patriots here. And unfortunately, we are represented really by people who don't represent us,
Mhm.
including Snooki.
Of course. So, Justine, why don't you? So you're a lifelong. Is it New Jerseyan or a Jersey? What is it?
New Jersey,
Is
I think, is.
is there a debate or is it
It's interchangeable. I call myself a Jersey girl.
a Jersey girl?
There's always the Jersey girl. Yeah.
Rob, do you refer to yourself as a Jersey girl?
I do not.
Okay,
Um,
a Jersey
if-
boy. The
if-
Jersey Boys.
If I go woke, perhaps I
Wait,
might.
was that a band? The Jersey Boys?
Yeah, the Jersey Boys.
Jersey Boys.
Wait, no,
It's
that was
definitely
the
a
Four
thing.
Seasons.
Uh,
The
Yeah.
no,
Jersey
whoa,
Boys.
whoa! The
Yeah.
Four Seasons was that Motown?
I think
Jersey
it's somehow
Boys.
Come on
intertwined
now,
with
you
that,
don't be
yes.
taking Motown. Let's not be.
Jersey Boys.
Comment below. Let us know. We need some extra advice. The Four Seasons is that
The Jersey Boys.
Jersey
written
music
about-
or is
Yes. Yeah, it was something. It was a movie they made.
or is
It was
the Four
about
Seasons?
Seasons.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
not the Four Tops. I'm thinking
It
about the
was-
Four Tops.
The Four Tops.
Come
is-
on, you gotta get your
I don't know if they
Jersey
were four,
bands
by the way.
correct.
No, the Four Seasons is you're talking about the hotel, right?
No.
Oh, the band.
the band.
Okay. The Four Tops. I'm pretty sure that's 100% Detroit Motown. The Four Seasons. We're gonna hear it in the comments now, just so you guys know. Get ready.
Let's see.
Let's see. Here we go. Let's see here. Okay.
I would sing it, but I haven't warmed up my voice.
But talk about being in New Jersey, similar media market, right in New York City. Talk about knowing Mayor Giuliani before you knew him personally, kind of what Mayor Giuliani has meant to the area here.
Certainly. So we actually have a 9/11 memorial right by my house. And growing up, my parents were both involved in local politics. And I was not even in fifth grade on 9/11. I was turning 3 years old. It was
That's
actually
crazy.
2 days. My birthday's September 13th. And I heard about growing up. I didn't have a lot of a memory back then. Obviously, maybe I had more of a memory than Joe Biden. But my parents would always tell me how wonderful Mayor Giuliani was, especially during 9/11. The fact that he ran towards those towers to help rescue fellow New Yorkers. And now we have a president, the first president in 20 years, Joe Biden, who will not be at any of the terror sites on 9/11. Instead, he'll be in Alaska after and before taking another world tour to apologize for all the sins that he says America has committed. So that's what's sad. But I learned to be a young patriot, and it's thanks to my parents. And I heard these stories about Mayor Giuliani. A couple of years ago in DC, my parents went with me to CPAC, and we were in town, and we actually ran into Mayor Giuliani, and that was the first time I got to see him in person. And my mom was so excited. She said, Justine, she practices law, and she's kind of in that field. Justine, it's Mayor Giuliani. Well, it was just me and my parents, and then this ragtag group of other kids who were really involved in the conservative movement at a young age. And the mayor welcomed us with open arms. We all got to sit next to the mayor. We all got to hang out with him. And the mayor didn't even have to pay attention to us. Like, we're just these college students who want to also get into the conservative movement. But the mayor gave us all a voice. And, flash forward now, a couple years later, I get to be on the mayor's show all the time. So that's just something so special about the mayor that you don't see a lot of politicians, and the mayor really is not a politician. Same with President Trump. But you don't see a lot of even establishments on the right do this, welcome young people who will be the voices of the next, not just the conservative movement, but the voices of America, the next voices of this country. So I'm very, very grateful that the mayor has given us a chance to and given us a platform. But I think my favorite story about the mayor is a couple of months ago when Lee Zeldin was still running for governor of New York. We were at this rally on Staten Island, and there was a greeting line. A former firefighter, came up to the mayor and said, "Mayor, the last time I saw you, I was covered in ash, and you took my hands." Well, that was the day of 9/11.
He said, and you hugged me.
Yeah.
And then at that point, Rudy said, "Well, here, I'll hug you again."
Yeah.
And we went and hugged him again.
And
Remember?
he did that.
Yeah.
And I could see a tear. I could see a tear in both of their eyes. It was just a really beautiful moment. So for someone who was 3 years old at the time of 9/11 and really couldn't remember much, that was something that was it was very educational moment, but it was something so touching to me and so telling about just what a hero Mayor Giuliani was and continues to be.
Your story reminds me of something, Justine. I think it's noteworthy. People should, when they're watching political rallies on television, whether it be Donald Trump, whether it be Joe Biden, whether it be, one thing I've noticed is both Rudy Giuliani and Donald Trump, when they have an audience in front of them, it is not uncommon. In fact, I'm underrating it. People are compelled to scream out, "We love you, Rudy, we love you." And they get into those successions in Donald Trump rallies. "We love you, when people say they love you, love is a very big, strong word, right? You don't hear anybody saying that about Joe Biden. "We love you." Did anybody ever hear that? I don't think so.
There's no crowds at his supposed rallies. And of course they say it's social distance. It's such baloney.
Right.
It really is.
Yeah, even any politician, you never hear them say that they love you. They may say, "Yeah, go President this or go that." Well, "I love you" or "we love you." That's telling you that that's touching something in those people. And the only two guys that I really can say that I recall that is President Trump and Mayor Rudy Giuliani. Those are the response, because in the Lee Zeldin rally in Staten Island that you were referring to, I remember them doing that there. The ladies were like, "You tell him, Rudy, we love you." They just love him so much. You can't even believe it, people. You can't believe it.
And it's because they're not politicians. They were actual public servants, and they actually served this country, and Mayor Giuliani served New York. And now everyone else seems to be just a politician these days. And
I guess people know when they're being served. They can feel it. Yeah.
It's very true.
Yeah.
But now our voices are being stifled. And the funny thing is that these Democrat leaders in office, and every time they want to censor us, every time the media censors us, every time someone is deplatformed, and now every time Mayor Giuliani and President Trump is slapped with an indictment and we're being threatened with arrest for our views, the Democrats love to say, "It's all to protect democracy." Yes, it's for your protection.
What a joke.
Just think about that. They're censoring you. They're throwing you in jail for your views in order to protect democracy. In order to protect democracy, they want to destroy the First Amendment. So I actually came across this very sloppy Washington Post. Of course, it's the Washington Post article today. This journalist, Philip Bump, the last name is very fitting. He has like a bump on his head. Okay, so he says, he wrote this report that says 14 presidents have called out Donald Trump's threat to democracy today. Okay, 14 presidents. They just called it out. Here's a little problem. Most of those presidents are dead. So unless this guy from the Washington Post resurrected these presidents from the dead, which apparently he thinks he can speak to ghosts, it doesn't seem like a very accurate headline. Well, the truth is, if you get into this article, this guy reported on foundations that supposedly represent these 14 presidents. And of course, one of the presidents are President Joe Biden. And the whole message is that President Trump threatens democracy. We all of his supporters somehow threaten democracy because we question election results and we want to call out election fraud. But their whole shtick now is to equate speech with violence and say that speech, your words, speaking, which we have the right to do in this country, whether you're right or you're wrong about something, you have the right to speak. Your words are now threats to democracy.
That's right.
Yeah. They took it from,
man. Can you finish? I don't want to cut you off here. You're on a roll.
I'll finish up my kvetching.
Another
But
time.
you're right, though.
But you're-
She's 100% right.
You're spot on, Justine, and we just love having you. So thank you for joining us tonight in Bedminster. Stay on. I want you to watch this video with us. I'm going to share with you guys just a short video from here in Bedminster, and when we come out of the break, I want to have Rob on for a few minutes here. So,
Okay.
thank you again, Justine.
Thank
you know
you,
we love you,
Ted.
of course. Well, we're here with Rob Kaufman. Many of you know Rob. Rob, you've been with us from the start, but before the start of our live stream.
Ted is the man.
Oh, check clear. That's why I brought on. All right. Well, thanks for coming on. That's why we had
Thank
you
you,
here.
everybody.
Yeah. No. Of course, Rob has been not only with us from the beginning of our live stream back in October of last year. You've been a longtime listener of the mayor on WABC Radio. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I had began the story earlier that, I mean, I was just, well, there was a time I imagine when everybody used to listen to Fox, and it started to become clear to me. It started to become clear to me at some point that Fox was, what are they? What would you consider Fox now? Benedict Arnold, controlled opposition at best. That is what they are. And so I started seeking new sources of information, and I found myself tuning into AM radio. I was listening to 710 and 770. I was going back and forth between. But 770 just took over. I stopped listening to 710, although it's a pretty good AM station as well, I know. But, and then forget about once I started tuning into Rudy's show, I was addicted, I guess, for all intent and purposes. When 3 o'clock hit,
Yeah.
that radio was on no matter where I was. If it was my mobile phone, because I got the app on my phone. But anyway, it was just, there is finally somebody out there telling the truth.
That's right.
Wow. That is what Rudy Giuliani does. Make no mistake about it. This man tells the truth. Can you imagine in New Jersey, New York, we're a liberal bastion of madness in this region, except for the rural areas that Justine spoke of earlier. They do tend to be conservative. When you get out west in New Jersey, northwestern New Jersey, I hear things where people have billboards on their front lawns, Trump signs and stuff. They're not afraid to talk about it. Where you walk around in my town with a Trump hat on, you might wind up in an altercation with somebody. It's people have the nerve to come up to someone and harass them for their beliefs. But now that leads me to the mass formation psychosis, which there's a Professor Desmet, Matthias Desmet, who people look him up. Matthias Desmet and Tucker did an interview once. I got to tell you, this thing is going to blow you away. It's an hour and a half, but have patience and listen, and you will learn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into that. But for tonight, we'll talk about. I'm curious on this now. Anytime Rob brings something up for us to read, the mayor and I are always we're tracking it down. And we try to get to it. But Rob, you're from New Jersey. Well, you're born in Queens.
Born in Queens, Maspeth, Queens, to be.
So you're a New Yorker and a New Jerseyan.
Yeah, at
How does that?
At 6 to 7 years of age, we moved from Queens out to eastern Long Island, Suffolk County, Brookhaven Township. It was a beautiful place to grow up. I can't even tell you. But then when I was in around 16, 17, we moved into the state of New Jersey. We've been there ever since.
So, well, give us a quick story. Tonight's theme, of course, we're talking about America's mayor. Since America's mayor isn't here live on the show, tell us about the mayor growing up, right? I mean, whether it was his time as a prosecutor.
I remember it.
I mean, which I'm not going to go into it, but somehow Rob was alive in the 80s. I don't know.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
I don't know.
but talk about it. Talk about it.
Yeah, well, I do remember, I was not as informed politically or in many ways at that age. However, I do remember Rudy Giuliani. I remember Andrew was a little boy. I remember the two little kids with Rudy when he would go and do press conferences and stuff. They'd be around. And then I do remember also there was a diagnosis for a very serious health concern that Rudy had at some point in his, was 20 years ago or so. And I remember hearing that they did cover it a lot on television. I was like, oh my God, don't tell me this, because he seemed like the nicest guy. And I thought, it could be the worst. You never know what's going to happen. But you know what? Rudy recovered. Rudy is strong. Rudy is like a bull. Let me tell you something. He's what, 79 now?
Yeah, hard to believe.
And he is
I thought I had energy.
He's got more energy than we do.
Smokes.
It must be this. It must be the
great timing. Rob brought up a great timing.
Yeah.
And we both, are we going to talk about ages here, or do you want to keep that out?
No, I don't mind it at all. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm 32.
I am 57.
Hard to believe. I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
Couldn't believe it.
It must be the balance of nature. In all seriousness, though, check out this product. Balance of Nature. The mayor, as you know, uses this day in and day out. Every single day he takes his Balance of Nature. They pack in so many fruits and vegetables into every single capsule. You just take 2 at a time, 2 of the fruits here, 2 of the vegetables, and a glass of water. And I'm telling you, at 32, it's made a difference for me. I didn't know,
It will.
And by the way, age is all relative, right? 32 to some people is old, it's ancient, but to others, it's still considered somewhat young.
Incredibly.
So Rob, I didn't think I'd be taking these at 32 and like feeling much of a difference, right? Woo! I'm telling you guys,
it's like having coffee and then the coffee high.
What's
never
your
goes
experience?
away.
Yeah, talk about your experience.
Well, yeah, vegetables. I was doing what many people were doing back in the, I would say the 90s more. So
what was going on in the 90s?
We were juicing.
And
when I say juicing, I'm not talking about
the miracle
juicing.
The miracle diet. There's the
superfoods.
Yeah, the
wheatgrass juice. And we were putting bananas and fruits and vegetables mixing in the juice machine. I still to this day I do. But I have to tell you, you have to watch your sugars though. I was young and I never thought anything of it. But now every now and then I go to the doctor and I say, oh, you better watch your sugar. I don't have a problem or anything like that. But they said you do. So that's a real reason why the Balance of Nature is good, because it's all the vital nutrients. People in America, people don't seem to be starving, do they? Especially when you go to a shopping mall or something. People seem to be eating perfectly, but they're starving of vital nutrient, minerals. They're mineral deficient, and so it causes health issues. Even though they were getting plenty of calories, nobody's going to take that away from them. But they're not getting the right.
So we cannot endorse this enough, and of course, the endorsement that matters. America's mayor is using this each and every day. So please, give our friends over at Balance of Nature. Visit balanceofnature.com and be sure to use the promo code Rudy. That's right. So let's get a short video. Rob, let's fix this tracking issue here. Sorry about that, guys.
I'll make it seem.
No, we're good. Rob, we certainly want to thank you for everything you do for us, right? Not just tonight and being with me here at Bedminster, helping out, but also for, of course, everything you do. You're tuning in each and every day, and you've done so much for us. I'm not going to get into all of it, but you just do so much. You're such an important part of the team, and we thank you for everything you do for the mayor. It means the world to me, but more importantly,
you're welcome, and thank you for all the great things that you do.
But let's watch this clip together, and I'd be curious again. And audience, please let us know your thoughts. This is a special one the mayor wanted to do from Bedminster.
I am honored to stand here in honor of our great war heroes, Donald J. Trump. This is the Bedminster Golf Course in New Jersey. It's 2 18s, won a championship and won a very fine golf course. I would say this is the back end of the golf course. If we look carefully, we'll see there's another flag over there of equal size. But this, be nice to spend a little time sitting here, wouldn't it? Reflecting on what this flag means. What this flag means to the men and women who died for it. And what it means, the way you have to respect it. Learn how to care for it. Learn how to fold it. Learn how to dispose of it correctly. It's more than a flag. It's a symbol under which, from the very, very beginning, our men and women in desperation, fighting for freedom, rallied and won the freedom that we have partially given away. So we're going to win it back. We're going to win it back in 2024, aren't we? Well, God bless Donald Trump for doing this, and God bless America.
Thank you for joining us. We're back. America's Mayor Live. We're going to bring things to a close. We're already well into soccer time. So let's get our soccer time chyron up. There we go. So again, a very busy news day. Look, right, folks, the news isn't going to stop, right? And we're really just getting started, especially when it comes to the 2024 election, right? As we've talked about, they're going to throw everything they can at not just the president, but of course, America's mayor. So we've got our work cut out for us. The good news is we've got a great team. And of course, all of you are a part of our team here. I did want to take a second here, and this is from myself, the mayor, Dr. Maria, the whole team, Justine, Rob, Mike. We want to wish a very special happy birthday to John Katzimatidis, the owner and operator of WABC Radio. John has done so much in defense of the freedom of speech, right? And of course, he's been so good to the mayor, and that's always gonna that matters so much to me, right? But not just with the mayor. This is a man who's done so much good, not just for New York City, but for the country, for the First Amendment. He supports just such great causes. And so, John, from myself, from Mayor Giuliani, Dr. Maria, and the whole team at America's Mayor Live, happy birthday, and many, many more.
Is he on the 8th, by the way? I'm the 8th, which is like
Whoa.
Friday. My birthday is this Friday.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Your birthday's tomorrow.
Yes.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Hey.
Wow, we didn't know that. Well,
Yeah.
now we know.
Now I know John Katzimatidis. That's like a bookmark now in my head. I'll remember that.
So we want to do that. Happy birthday, John. You're a good man.
Happy birthday, John.
Are those commas in the right place? Sorry, guys. I'm going fast here. Is that okay? How I have that written?
Yes.
It looks good.
Sorry. For some reason, I get on the fly, guys. We're doing these graphics while we're doing the show. But thank you, John, for standing up for what's right, time and time again, and of course for being so good to America's mayor and his whole team. You've been very good to me as well. And,
standing up for truth, justice, and the American way.
That's right. We have a WABC listener here. That's for sure. So we wanted to take a moment for that. And in closing, we're going to switch back to kind of the theme of tonight, right? And that is supporting America's mayor, Rudy Giuliani. We talked about everything he's done. Not everything, right? We'd be here all night. But we've highlighted his incredible work as a mayor of New York City, brought crime rates down maybe more than anyone, cleaned up the streets, wasn't afraid to take on the tough issues and to get things done. That's what he did, right? We haven't talked about workfare. We didn't talk, my goodness, we could go on and on and on. We talked about his work as a federal prosecutor, maybe the most consequential in American history. certainly of our time, took down the mafia, rooted out public corruption, locked up the biggest criminals on Wall Street, and always did the right thing. And of course, he comforted the nation following 9/11. And now today, what he says often may be his most important work because, oh my goodness, I don't even want to say what's at stake. It's so dire. And so we're asking for your help. I'm asking for your help on behalf of the mayor to give what you can, but maybe more importantly, to spread this message to others. And we talked about earlier, just find 3 people, but also ask each of those 3 people to find 3 people in their circle, 3 people that you can share this information with, information about the Rudy Giuliani Freedom Fund, P.O. Box. And this is where you'd write the checks out, right? Write the check out to the Rudy Giuliani Freedom Fund and send it to this address, P.O. Box 309 at 3300 South Dixie Highway in West Palm Beach, Florida, zip code 33405. If you're listening and not catching the information on the screen, I'm going to say it again. Please make out your checks to the Rudy Giuliani Freedom Fund, address P.O. Box 309, 3300 South Dixie Highway, West Palm Beach, Florida, 33405. And I can guarantee you everything you give will make its way to his legal defense, right? This money's, sometimes you hear about these things and the money's going to overhead, the money's going to this and that and the other thing. No. I can promise you this. Your contribution is going to go directly to the front lines in this ongoing battle for truth and justice. So please find it within your heart, not only to give what you can in what may be the most consequential endeavor of all of our lifetimes. The country is on the line, and they are not going to let up on America's mayor. Oh no, they're going to double down. This is just the beginning. I'm not going to go into it now, but I already know the next couple of hits they're going to put on us. It's disgusting. It's wrong, and in some cases is very much un-American. But we can fight back. And when I say fight back, proverbially, right? I'm not talking about literal violence. We're not talking about violence. We're talking about fighting back with our pocketbooks and by supporting causes that matter.
And with our brains.
And of course, with our brains. That's right. So I'll say it one more time. Please consider not only contributing to the Rudy Giuliani Freedom Fund, but sharing this information with 3 of your friends or 3 people in your network. Doesn't have to be friends. 3 people in your network. The Rudy Giuliani Freedom Fund, that's P.O. Box 309, 3300, South Dixie Highway, West Palm Beach, Florida, 33404. I want to thank President Trump for everything he's done for the mayor and the entire team during our time here at Bedminster. Again, the staff, whether you're Mayor Giuliani or Ted Goodman or somewhere in between, they treat you top notch. So we want to thank President Trump. I want to thank all of you. I want to thank all of you for being a part of this and for not being afraid to speak up and speak out and to tell the truth and to push back against the lies and for your support of America's mayor. And Justine, Rob, thank you for being here with us and being a part of the team. And
Someone
so go ahead.
Someone asks if we can put that address in the chat.
Sure. If you, Rob, if you don't mind putting the address in the chat. Okay. We'll put that in there. It's P.O. Box 309. P.O. Box 309. It's on here, guys.
Oh, perfect.
3300 South Dixie Highway, West Palm Beach, Florida, 33405. I apologize, you guys. You probably heard me plug this a few too many times tonight. But my goodness, right? We are up against it. However, we have the consummate happy warrior, and we know we've got truth and justice on our side. I mean, this is the man that was right about the Democrat-Russian collusion hoax. He was right. They were wrong. Joe Biden's evidence of Joe Biden's foreign bribery schemes. They were wrong. The mayor was right. And of course, Hunter Biden's laptop. Again, we wouldn't know about it without the mayor. But we know about it. And now Hunter's going to face indictment. And the investigations into Joe Biden are ongoing. But something like 62% of Americans believe Joe had something to do with Hunter's business dealings. So that number, that poll, that question only exists because of Mayor Rudy Giuliani. So if you're with us, if you back this man, if you support the mayor, give what you can. And if you're not in position to give, make sure this message gets to at least 3 of your friends. And if you're in position to give, make sure this message gets to 3 of your friends. On that note, we'll sign off on what was a very busy night. I want to thank all of you for bearing with me and joining us tonight. We look forward to seeing you again tomorrow evening, and you'll have America's mayor back. And I'll be back on my rightful spot behind the camera, not in front. Thank you. Good night. God bless America. And God bless America's mayor, Rudy Giuliani. Good night.
Our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. We are able to apply